Hi, I've got Joshua Pines from Sirenum. Josh, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
For sure, likewise. So, Josh, tell me a little bit about your role at Sirenum and what Sirenum is all about.
Sure. I joined Sirenum at a point in the business where they had a product and they didn't really have a market yet. So I joined as a co-founder on the commercial side. My business partner had owned a business, a staffing agency, for which he essentially developed the original idea behind Sirenum, and had set about productizing it through the course of 2014. And I joined in the midst of that process to lead our partnerships, corporate development, and marketing. And at that point, virtually all commercial activities alongside Benjamin as well.
Okay. And Sirenum solves what problem? I mean, what's
Sure. So the primary problem we're solving is helping businesses manage their hourly workers. Now that sounds like something that there's an awful lot of tools out there for. But first of all, there are an awful lot of hourly workers. It's right now the largest, or rather the fastest growing part of the labor market in virtually all the Western world, certainly here in the UK and in North America. Just to give you a sense, just a little bit less than $1 trillion is spent annually in the U.S. on hourly workers, and it's growing faster than any other part of the market. Part of that is some of the the growth of what you think of as the gig economy, but frankly, the gig economy only represents probably 5 to 10% of that. Okay. We're talking about nurses and doctors and engineers, talking about cleaners. People who work in mobile locations such as the transport industry, construction, etc. And basically, we help those businesses streamline the process of managing their workers. We transform their businesses to help them with their scheduling, with their time and attendance capture, monitoring of their workers, and all the way through to payroll, especially with an eye on the issues of compliance that are really important in today's economy.
Wow, sounds like you offer a lot within the software package for, if I'm a construction company, like you said, you can handle anything from scheduling all the way through payroll. That's a lot. There's a lot that goes on in between.
It's what we call the staff management lifecycle. And basically every time you take a worker on who's an hourly worker, the recruitment part is only part of the process, right? We hear a lot in today's, in the media about how, businesses to grow have to recruit. But an awful lot of businesses then have to actually manage those workers. And unlike you or I or most of the people you think of, white collar, quote unquote, information workers, people who are hourly workers, in addition to that, often have the challenges: where do I go? What we sometimes refer to as the 6 W's, right? And so I usually lose track somewhere around 3 or 4. But who is going there? Where are they going? When are they going? Why are they doing? What are they prepared for? And in today's world, where regulation around this stuff is growing at a sort of unprecedented pace, where health and safety challenges are high, where issues like terrorist prevention or homeland security are high, the challenges are really significant. And many of the businesses we help have relatively limited staff to manage, in-house staff to manage those workers. So they need a tool like ours that really, it's kind of steroids to their ability to manage these workers. We can improve their ability to manage workers twofold. So if you're managing currently 15 workers, we can get up to 30 workers, and so on and so forth. So really improve your flexibility and the economy of your in-house team.
Now, there have got to be other tools that offers, some competitors out there. Now, how do you differentiate from them? What are the unique differentiators?
So there's probably 3 ways that we differentiate. One is the markets we go after, and the markets we're really built for. So, and the word that I would sum that up is complexity. There are a ton of tools out there for the hospitality industry or for retail industry, tools that help you schedule and manage workers like bartenders or people who work in retail stores. Those are relatively simple environments. They're working typically in one location. They're working typically a one type of shift. There's very little variability among the shift. And whereas we're working in more complex, if you think of a kind of complexity algorithm, there's probably 4 or 5 variables that go into it. Things like pay rates, locations, compliance and health and safety, and so on and so forth. Most of the tools out there in the market right now are built for only one of those being complex. And we're built for really the whole gamut. And that's really back to our heritage, which I mentioned earlier, which is a staffing agency. Actually, and the staffing agency was servicing a very high compliance industry, which is the railroad industry. So especially in the UK, transportation industry is very highly regulated. Anybody who touches a train or a track has to be managed for fatigue and risk throughout the entire process, even if they're just cleaners. So we're sort of solving the hardest problem and then finding the industries that behave similarly, or the businesses. So obviously the staffing industry space is key for us. Again, that's, it's a very complex challenge, because in addition to managing all these workers all over the place, those workers might be working for multiple end clients, even in a single day. We have clients where the worker may be a cleaner in the morning and a construction worker in the afternoon. And then tomorrow may be driving Uber. So that's even another sort of impact of what we call the dynamic workforce, or the dynamic work environment. So, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, what does this actually end up costing someone? And what's your solution cost?
So we charge based on the number of workers managed, because that's where the value is added, right? A lot of tools out there might charge based on the people in-house. But we charge roughly about $1.50 per worker per week. But there's a lot of variability in that, and multi-module discounts and volume discounts. But that's about what it boils down to. You take a typical environment of about 1,000 workers, and you're looking at about I don't know, 100,000 annually. But there's a lot of variability in that.
Well, I mean, if you have 1,000 workers, $100,000 is a lot, and you're just getting a significant value from using it.
To give you a sense on the ROI, we've calculated with our existing customers about a 4% reduction in the cost of labor. So that's the entire cost of labor.
It's huge.
We talk about saving 50% of your scheduling time, 3/4 of your payroll time, but at the end of the day, it's between 2 and 4%, depending on your industry, and a few factors of your cost of labor.
Are you able to maybe pinpoint a particular customer that uses the software and the type of value, and things that, concrete numbers in terms of, you're talking about whether it's efficiency, whether it's cost, of what they got, in what time span? Are you able to talk about any particular case study?
Yeah, sure. So I can give you a couple of different examples, and I think hopefully it'll give you a sense of the breadth of the impact we have on a business. So one is a staffing agency, and the challenge in staffing agency, as I already mentioned, is it's manyfold, but it starts with putting the right person in the right place at the right time. But then it's also very challenging to figure out how much to pay that person, right? The vast majority of workers' information about their workday is captured on paper, right? So that's very difficult to manage. You can't read, was that a 9 or an 8? It's as mundane as that. But even further, you've then got an entire team of payroll analysts or financial analysts who are really just data entry people, and that's really not a good use of their skills. So this company, I would say, in the market, a relatively mid-sized company. They're managing between 800 and 1,000 workers on a weekly basis, and they had a team of 4 doing payroll in their prior regime. 4 full-time workers, many of whom were spending much of their day, and primarily Thursday and Friday, just data checking. They currently have 1 person half-time. And those other 3 people are now focused on other operational aspects of the business. So, we're not talking about removing these people from the organization. They have a lot of institutional knowledge that they can add to other parts of the business, and now they can be much more efficient on operational things. But we're talking about a significant impact on the entire process. And, the number of errors on payroll is virtually nil. They're now not as tied to their existing payroll technology solution, because we cooperate with a variety of tools for net pay, for calculating things like, taxes and healthcare costs. So that really introduces a lot of flexibility and agility into the business that wasn't there. So that's one example. Another one is a very large agency here in the UK, an agency called Impellum. They're one of the largest agencies in the world, sixth largest. And we are able to determine that we have, within 1 month of implementation, increased efficiency of management of their staff 18%.
Wow.
Now that's with almost no training, almost no, beyond the regular go live training. That's no, all the tips and tricks you pick up over time. Enterprise software, you know how it is with enterprise software.
Right.
There's an adoption curve. That is taking that into account. Right. So that has a dramatic impact on a large business that has lots of existing technology. Now, listen, they've got a great team we work with. I can't take all the credit there. That's really important. I think anytime you're talking about a transformational technology, you need the cooperation of the team you're working with. You need executive sponsorship and approval. You need really cooperation there, and they were great to work with. And frankly, all of our customers, we've been very lucky because, as you know, starting out a business, having good customers is really important.
It is.
Good product is great. Good customers almost as important.
Right.
So, those are some of the areas. Listen, we've got other case studies with smaller businesses who are just able to really change the way they run in their business. A retail outlet in Norway that can now supply staff across multiple locations, which they couldn't do before. They've increased their employee satisfaction dramatically because of that. Because sometimes I don't want to work on a Tuesday, but I might want to work at this location.
Right.
The last example I would give, and indulge me, is a rail company here in the UK called Great Western Railways. They're part of the first group. It's one of the largest transportation companies in the world. Right. And we've started there with a single depot. So think of any business, they might just have a single location. Yep. And they were challenged with managing the health and safety of their workers. I mentioned earlier that anybody touches a train, from the lowliest worker up to the senior most person, has to have their lots of health and safety stuff tracked, training information tracked, and so on and so forth. And they were using upwards of 7 spreadsheets just to keep track of that one piece of data. They were spending roughly £60,000, about $100,000 at the time, just on overtime to calculate the violations of health and safety. And that was just for a staff of 200. Right. Right. So these are hourly workers, but they're engineers. These are relatively highly paid, but they have variable shifts because of the issues around health and safety and fatigue and risk. So we were able to eliminate that overtime charge. It's subsequently been nominated and won multiple health and safety awards, and has been recognized as the best practice within the industry. And now we're serving the entire UK network of roughly 2,000 workers across the UK with the same challenge of managing their health and safety within their schedule, and also simplifying payroll as well.
Wow. I mean, just hearing you talk and, those 4 different examples there is really a testament of your product and your passion behind it, really. And so for our audience, it's a lot of times you hear, oh, our product can do this, our product can do that, our product can do this. But when you hear real lifetime stories and real stories, and it's like, hey, this is the impact of a huge enterprise, for example, that got an 18% return in efficiency in a period of a month. Stuff like that is generally unheard of, right? So,
but you know what? I think one thing that differentiates us from a lot of tools out there, I mean, you hit on the passion. We've got a great team here in London, and actually we've got some folks spread around Europe as well. But the fact that we came out of a real use case, right? My partner, Benjamin Rubin, our CEO and founder, he owned a staffing agency that needed this, and he looked out in the market and found nothing that could really solve this challenge. So we're already coming in, and I mentioned again the role that our customers, our early customers, our beta customers, we're still early on this journey, right? So we really only went commercial last summer of 2016, or rather summer of 2015. Sorry, we're already in 2017 now.
We are.
Happens every January, right? But in the year prior to that, we built up a nice roster of beta customers across 7 or 8 industries, trying to test the waters, both in terms of uses and industry personalities, almost cultural issues. And they were great. They gave great feedback. I'm a big believer in that, and working closely with your customers and your partners. So the one thing I haven't really spent much time talking about is the role that our channel partners have played. They're crucial. We work closely with channel partners like Job Science and Bullhorn, who are applicant tracking systems at the front end. We work closely with products at the back end like Exceed HR and Sage, who help with accounting and net pay. And we also work with services providers. And they are great sounding boards, services providers who help with implementation as well, so on the execution and delivery side. But as we build a business, as we build a team, as we build a culture, and as we refine our product, they all play a role.
Right. No, this is amazing. Talk to me about, what we're talking about, still you being in an infancy stage to some extent, right? You just went off in beta a year in terms of actual production, commercial. So where do you go in the next 3-4 years? Where do you think, Sirenum looks like in the next 3-4 years? So what are your plans?
Well, it's funny. I'm in this conference room. I told you I'm in a different conference room because our regular conference room is our head of sales and our CEO mapping out the hiring plan. So it's definitely a conversation we're having these days. Right. We've been lucky to close some deals and make some relationships on the partner side that give us some confidence to really plan for growth.
Right.
I think our next big step is really growing out our delivery and operations team. On the commercial side, we hired our first salesperson this summer, 2016. We hired a second one not long after because we're moving in that direction. But delivering on the promise really requires a lot of operational folks as well. So that includes building up our relationships with operational partners and adding to our team. So we're doing that. We're adding to our development team, focused more on the kind of enhancements we want to deliver. We think we've built a nice basis for the product, but both from a UX perspective as well as some of the features and functions we want to add out. We're talking about implementation services and training folks. We're building a support team and moving into North America more aggressively. So we have a number of customers there that we've mostly gotten either through inbound or through our channel partners. But we're looking to hire in North America, mostly on the commercial and customer-facing side, sales and services. So that's the near term. In the long term, listen, we fully believe the way we've attacked this problem, the paradigm shift we believe we're driving in terms of the way we put the schedule and the roster at the center, and really a kind of hub and spoke model, which allows us to work with both entrenched HR technology providers and our preferred partners, really offers something different than what's out there. And, as this dynamic workforce or the gig economy and beyond continues to grow, the opportunity to be the de facto standard for scheduling, monitoring, and paying hourly workers is what we're after.
Okay. Give me a sneak preview on some product enhancements you guys have planned. I understand from an operations perspective, you got all these different plans ahead. And great.
Sure.
For those that are watching the video, they also probably want to know, hey, considering, transacting with you and spend the kind of money, doesn't seem like it's going to be a ton based on the savings or in terms of efficiency, but still want to know, hey, what's next in terms of product development for me?
Yeah, so there's a few things that stand out. I mean, first of all, hopefully this doesn't come out the wrong way, but I believe that we're already ahead of the market on a lot of the stuff that we do today. But we're excited about some of the things we're doing moving forward. One of the things is embedded team optimization. So as you build a roster of workers, whether you're an agency or in-house, we will be able to semantically determine who will be the best fits, in addition to obviously confirming that they have the right training, the right licensing, the right certifications, their availability and all that stuff, but whom they've worked with, who the manager on the end client side of an agency. So, we're working on that. We're working on some stuff with our partners around better integration from a passive Bluetooth perspective so that we can capture information about workers' arrival and departure more accurately and more in line with, not interrupting business as usual activities. And, we're always looking for ways to improve the engagement with the hourly worker. Many of our workers don't have a computer at their job, right? So we manage about 12,000 workers right now. And I would guess no more than 15% have a computer through work, and probably fewer. When we started this journey, a lot of people said, you're depending too much on the mobile app, and these people don't have smartphones. Cleaners, construction workers don't have smartphones. Well, the numbers are all proving that wrong. But what we're trying to do is to move as streamlined as possible. So if they don't, or when they don't, we can still handle that as well. So things like passive Bluetooth and some of the things we're doing with some of our hardware partners are part of that as well. So the other stuff I think I'm going to keep under wraps. We'll do a video again.
I figured you weren't going to tell me everything.
We're going to do a video again in a few months, and then we can tell you a little bit more.
All right, cool.
We're always excited to make those changes and work with our customers. So, it gets really narrow, but having pay information as part of the approval for timesheets at a different level of detail, like that's what we're talking about. It's really operational stuff. So,
Very cool. So someone's interested in moving forward with you folks in terms of just getting more detailed information about your product. What's the best way of them connecting with you?
Well, obviously our website, Sirenum.com. Sirenum, by the way, comes from the ancient Greek for siren. If you remember from Greek mythology, the sirens, right? So we came up with that because Benjamin really wanted to find out about a problem before it happened, not after, right? So what's a problem before it happens? It's siren links, right? So it's Sirenum.com. You can always email me directly. I'm happy to be reached out to. It's josh.pines@sirenum.com. Pines like the trees. And, we are on all the major social media sites as well. So, Facebook and Twitter, we're Sirenum Tweets, and YouTube, we're Sirenum Videos. So definitely track us down. We'll be happy to help you out.
I hope our audience does. I think you got a great thing going, Josh. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.